Well, hello again. Ron Metches here. Well, I just completed etching this piece of Saint Aubin. It got a little rusty on me. So I want to go back and show you how I did it. So I started about 2 weeks ago, so let's go back to the beginning. So today I'm subjecting a piece of Saint Aubin meteorite slice to some electrolysis. It's rusted up on me. Unfortunately, my main power supply blew up today. So we're having to use this old power supply from a computer or something. I don't know where it came from, but it's working, not as fast as the other. But it is generating bubbles, so I know the process is working. I have it there, bubbles on the piece. It may take a little bit longer, but at least I'm not kind of stuck doing this. And also, I've increased the size of my setup. My tank used to be a 2-gallon tank. I'm now gone to a 4-gallon tank because this piece is about 8 inches high and about 10 inches wide, so I needed much more volume to accommodate the piece so I could totally submerge it in the water. So that's it for now. We're going to let this go for I don't know how long because we're in new territory here. I'll have to hook up an amp meter just to see what the current is. So for now, just let it soak. Well, the slice has been going about 5-6 days now. As you can see, I've replaced the power supply. The new one came in, and it's so much more adaptable. You can adjust the voltage, the current. It's more of a professional model. Got it used from a used equipment dealer. Looks in brand new condition. Looks like a charm. Anyway, we're going to pull this out of the tank today and see what it looks like. So here's the slice as it comes out of the bath. Now we're going to cut the wire off. We're going to take a look at how it looks. So let's give it a little snip here. There. There. Okay. So we got the usual shadowing effect. The side isn't done, but it's completely rust-free. Now we're going to put this in an alcohol bath to leach out any water that was remaining and dry it off first. And that'll help keep it from rusting while I sand it, because I'm going to have to repolish the surface right here. All right, so I've got me a nice sized tub here that this fits in very nicely. And I've got a bottle of 99.9% isopropyl to leach out the water from any veins. So let's put this in here, and we'll cover it with the alcohol. Just about half inch or so. We don't need a whole lot. It's dripping all over the place. That's sufficient for that. We'll let that sit for a couple of days, and that'll take out any moisture that's still in there. After that, I'm going to sand the surface, get it back to its natural patina, and we're going to re-etch it. And I'd like to introduce you to my little helper. This is my granddaughter, Emily. She's my helper, and hopefully she loves meteorites as much as I do. Do you love meteorites? Does that mean yes? Of course that means yes.
No.
Okay. Well, what do you like about them?
Nothing.
Well, you're born in the wrong family. Okay, that's that for now. All right, I've taken the piece out of the alcohol bath, which is right there. And I've already hit it with the lower grit sandpapers, 220 for starters. Those are already fairly well sanded. The 320 and 400. So now I'm going to hit it with some 800 grit paper as the final polish. So you can see it's already getting a nice smear finish. So it's coming along pretty good. So let's continue on. And it doesn't take very long to do this. It's only a couple minutes per grit. Flip it around. We're getting nice and polished. Look at that. It's getting real pretty. All right, second half. This is a rather large piece, so I'll have to do it half by half. should do it. A nice, oh, look at that. Yeah, it's coming, never finish. Now, I could take this up to 3,000, but there's a train of thought out there that when you put the acid on to etch it, take up too much of a polish, it doesn't give the acid anything to bite into. And I've tried that a couple of times on higher polish. And the lower polish gives you an adequate surface, and it gives the acid a little bit of grit or whatever it is to get into the metal. See, one spot here I want to touch up a little bit. Okay, that's better. So we have pretty good finish. You can see my face in it. Also see the camera. So I think we're going to throw this back into the alcohol bath for another day just to let any water that may have gotten into it. Okay, so this is my, kind of leach it out. This is the alcohol, same alcohol as I was using before. I'll just put that in there, let it set for maybe overnight, and tomorrow we're going to etch this piece. You see my work area is kind of black from that graphite inclusion in there. It's making a mess. I'm setting up to do the etching. So we're going to be using some ferric chloride. To neutralize it, I have this 20-to-1 neutralizer, which I've already mixed up over there. To neutralize any acids that left over, I have some baking soda. Of course, I got my little applicator brush, and of course, I'm going to be wearing some gloves. So let's get to it. All right, first things first, let's get the piece out of the alcohol bath. Right here. Still nice and shiny from its overnight soak. All right, this side still, not going to worry about that too much. We'll etch it, but not going to worry about it too much. Okay, let's dry the alcohol off of here. I'll get this good and dry before I etch it. Should evaporate pretty quickly. All right, that should be pretty dry. Let it air out for a few minutes. Still looks nice and shiny. Okay, now to the serious job at hand. All right, we're starting to put the acid on, and it etches up pretty quickly. You already see the Widmanstatten pattern coming out. I found that the secret to this is to do it, wash it off, and do it again. Which really brings out the pattern very nicely. The first one does okay, but it's the second or third application that really brings out the pattern. All right, let's take a look at what we have here. I'll wash this first application off, get around the edges a little bit. All right, take a little distilled water here, bring it over, see what we got. And the pattern's coming out pretty well. All right, let's do it again. This is where the pattern starts to pop. Oh yeah. the edges. I think we're going to do this 3 times. Just wash it off one more time. Yeah, it's starting to look a lot better now. Look at that. I think one more etch is going to do it. This is actually the first time I've etched a slice 3 times. Usually I do it twice. Something about Saint Aubin seems to be a little bit tougher. Okay. Let's see what this one looks like. A little more water. It's beautiful. Look at that. Nice, looks like a fine octahedrite. Camera doesn't do it justice. For the other side, they've got some etch on here. I think we're going to go ahead and just give it a light etch on this side just for the heck of it. To even things out, because I know I've got my handprints on the other side. Okay, that's what I'm going to do over here. Let's go back to this side one more time. Okay, I think that's going to do it. Got a nice bright pattern. Excuse me. Okay, that's going to do it, I think. It's an outstanding pattern on this thing. Okay, wash this off one more time. Let's do the back side first. Fingers off a little bit. Now the front side. And here's our final results. Pretty cool. This side hasn't changed very much. Of course, you can't even see anything. There's so many saw marks on the other side. Okay. Dip in here just kind of. So now the next thing I'm going to do, take this out of here. I have some stabilizer that I made. It's supposed to stop all the etching process. I think the water does a pretty good job, but this is... Let that sit on there for just a moment. And I'll do the other side as well. And there we have it. A fully etched slice. Just be a pretty good amount of rust. Now it's rust free. Looks like I lost a couple of pieces down the debris there and all the edge. There's some corrosion on the edge. Not corrosion, but things that are flaking off some of the crust, I guess. And there it is. So I'm going to put this back in. I'm going to dry it off. I'm going to put it back into the alcohol bath overnight. And then tomorrow we're going to come back. We're going to apply a protective spray coat. Okay, we're all dried off. As much as I could anyway. And let's put it back in the alcohol. And let it sit overnight to get rid of any moisture that may have creeped in. I might put a little bit more alcohol in this thing because it's kind of low. Anyway, there we are. All etched up and ready to be coated. The next thing I want to do is I have some leftover acid. I want to neutralize that so I can get rid of it. I try and do this as responsible a way as I can. So we'll put the brush there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dilute it into this water here. Whatever's left, rinse it out a little bit. Now I have some baking soda here. See what happens. Little chemical reaction down there. It actually takes care of any leftover acid that is remaining in the bottom of this cup. I'll wash that in a little while. The next thing is I want to clean the brush. Sometimes I just toss these things. They're only 49 cents or something. But as you can see, there's still some acid in there. The brown is indicative of acid. See all that crapola down there? It's kind of forming. And the rest of that baking soda I'm going to pour directly into the water. Even though it's diluted, the acid is still there. So let's pour some of this stuff in there. So here it's foaming up. That means there's still a lot of acid available. It's really gunky. I used to know the formula for this stuff back when I was taking chemistry back in college, but it really doesn't matter. Okay. So we've neutralized the acid as much as I can. The rest is going to go down the drain. Be diluted with just regular tap water. Pretty sludgy. I've taken a piece out of the alcohol bath, cleaned it up a little bit, dried it off, and I am drying it out with my little heat gun. I'm going at this for a few minutes. Now it's pretty hot to the touch. I'm doing both sides. Other side. That is hot. I'm more concerned with the top side here. I have an aluminum plate underneath there so I don't melt all my plastic. Alright, that should do it. I'm going to let this cool down for a bit. I've been heating it for about 5 minutes. Alright, I'm done with the heating. And now we're going to go ahead and apply some of this clear coat to protect the thing on both sides. So let's give it a first coat. It's cooled down quite a bit too. Let's rotate it a little bit. Get the other side here. Get it evenly applied. Okay. Now we're going to let that set for about 15 minutes. Give it a chance to dry, and then we'll flip it over. Then we'll do a second coat. Once this side is done, we'll flip it over and do the other side. But it sure brings out the grain. The first coat's dry. Let's give it another coat. And we'll turn it over. Looking very nice. Turn this around. One more time. Okay, do it over here. Oh, might be running out. Okay, that should take care of that. Okay, we'll give it another 20 minutes to dry. Alright, so the piece is all sprayed, and it came out pretty good. Bounce light off of it. You can see those lines there a little bit, but again, the camera does not do it justice. So we'll call this complete.